Hello everyone, I am Coolguy, welcome back, and we have episode 2 of the Community Critique. It's where you guys send me gameplay and then we talk about it. We have Big Nickle Eye, he has the Jade Rabbit, the IronWreath, we have Feeding Frenzy, Rangefinder Reinforced, really good sidearm. He's on the Night Stalker, we have Quiver, and he has on the Forfeit, so he can have Shade Step with Hunted. And this is on Skyline, this is going to be Rumble, and I know Rumble pretty well, I play a lot of Rumble, but before we get into this real quick, I thank you guys for all your submissions, I try to get through all of them, and a lot of them have really good gameplays, right? So that depends on if you guys want me to start doing those. There are a couple that I'm thinking about, but it's like, well, you know, I used this weapon, we did 25 and 1, and the only critique is, well, you did really good. But if you guys would like to see those, we can put those in and talk about why it was such a good game. But moving on Skyline, so on this map, we start off in this corner, it's one of the main spawns. He goes down this hallway, remember this hallway. And he sees two enemies, he starts putting shots in, gets a crossfire and gets the second kill. Then he kind of rotates around. And another thing I'm going to do for this critique, and therefore just tell me what you guys think, we're going to talk about the deaths afterwards and kind of see what happened, because we can look at the game in kind of hindsight. And all deaths can't really be, you know, spoken for, because it creates different scenarios. So he spawns inside, he does a really good grenade, gets the guy hunted, he has out his sidearm, and what I really liked what Big Nickle did during this gameplay is he was very appropriate with his Jade Rabbit and his sidearm. He switched very good. So like he gets in this close quarters, he has his sidearm out, and he kind of backs off, brings out the Jade Rabbit, he jumps, he brings back out the sidearm again. So in the current meta, in the one that's getting ready to come up, once sidearms do get nerfed, you're still going to see sidearms, but just remember to change when it's very kind of range appropriate. This guy has no problem, he does it very well, he does it throughout the entire game. So he gets his health back, and I don't really like where he's getting his health back. He's still out in the open, there are 3 spawns that spawn around there. And he sees this guy, but then he kind of gets caught out in the open, and we're going to discuss that later. So he's leading the game right now, and what I think he wants to do, he never really goes inside, he stays to this outside. Now he's in a main spawn, so he should be looking immediately, not just running out, which he did. He had good shots with the Jade Rabbit, and again, since he has the scout rifle, he wants to kind of be on outside, and then I kind of see what he's doing. He goes into the mid-Y, the mid-T right here, and he's trying to get long range shots. And then we have Star Wars guy just straight up using the Force right here, and he had really good shots for where he was going, but you know, you can't really do anything about that. But the deal with mid on this map with the with the Jade Rabbit, really good play again. I mean, he throws his grenade down, brings out his sidearm, it's map appropriate. But I think Big Nickle, he kind of stays in here a little bit too long, and we'll discuss that later on. He gets a good trade with the Hawk Moon, but I think he wants to get in there and get people coming up with the scout rifle. And he does that good to an extent, but he hangs out a lot in there. He comes up off spawn and he's just kind of way too aggressive. And that's just another thing that we'll talk about at the end of the video. So he spawns out here, it's one of the main spawns, and he should be looking up there and to his left. He has the choice of going inside or coming to the ramp, and like I said, this is kind of how he's trying to run Skyline here. So he throws a grenade, chokes him off, and there's that long range engagement against the Force, gets really good shots on him. But so since he's in here, we see the guy on the left radar, we know that that's a thing, right? He gets really good shots, and he still kind of goes in here. Now he's getting a guy from the left, now he's getting a guy from stairs, so he needs to make a decision. Well, now he's getting pinched from behind. So he makes a really good play. He had his super, and we're going to talk about that a second time. So he gets a kill on the guy on the flank, comes up, gets a kill with the second part of the quiver, and now he's only worried about this left spawn, does the same thing he's done, choked it off with a grenade. And then he jumps out, knowing this guy probably has special, and then has a good cleanup. He gets some more sidearm ammo, and I kind of think that he's going to do the same thing. This guy kind of messes up his plans a little bit, but he has him choked off. But you hear him pop blade, right? So he does this very, very good. But we're going to talk about it later, and there's nothing really you could do. He's still getting chased by the blade dancer. Now there's a guy from the other side. That other guy makes him one shot, and he's starting to shade, trying to evade, but what ends up happening is the Blade Dancer comes on around and gets the melee kill on him. There are things that he could have done differently, but then again, it was a super coming at him. He spawns inside, and from what I could tell from watching the gameplay, he didn't really like that. So he sees a guy right here, I don't know if he spawned immediately. He kind of hesitates, and there's nothing really you could say about that. That's just kind of a death we could have gotten back. But he spawns up in this main point, and he has a sidearm out, so he switches to the Jade. And like I said, he does this really good. He does a lot of good pre-aiming when he jumps and gets closer. He makes good shots. And then we have a Sunbreaker And I'm not too worried about this. This kind of happens. I mean, supers are supers, right? You don't know how much damage that guy did. Maybe you can get the Jade Rabbit perk going on that guy and finish him off. So he did the best he could with what he had. Same thing, we spawn here. He does his pre-aiming. He jumps spot to spot, does his pre-aiming. And he also has on the radar. So he sees the guy to the left. He doesn't hesitate. He goes to where he wants to go in mid. And again, it's kind of tough with the scout rifle. They pretty much have to be at the very end of the hallway. And again, we're having the same pinch type of situation. He throws his second grenade and gets a really good kill. Guy's coming from stairs, and then we get no land bodied, right? So all in all, and we'll talk about after the gameplay, he spends a lot of time in mid, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't use the Jade Rabbit all the time. It wasn't really the best loadout for that mid area. He could do okay. So we see 3 people, and he's just kind of, there's people all around. He ends up being a little bit too aggressive, and ends up dying right here to that guy. And really, when you look back at it, and we will, when there's so many people, decisions are made, and you can't really look back all the way on it. So that's okay. Made really good shots on the guy with heavy with the Jade Rabbit, and he's going to do exactly what he does. He rotates all the way to the outside. He's getting in his high positions with his scout rifle. His enemy's hunted right now. So he starts advancing, and he throws that grenade a little bit late. Well, look, he brings out the sidearm. Again, really good plays, man, really good plays. If you have a Warlock with the Ophidians, if you have any type of quick draw on your weapons, and sidearms equip speed are really strong, and that's one of the reasons why they're so good. And even though people are using them right now, they were always good before because of that equip speed. He throws the grenade a little too late. Again, he's kind of messing in that mid, and that mid area is pretty good for the sidearm. It's just those long sight lines, they have to be really long for the Jade Rabbit, possibly kind of head glitching those stairs, kind of like right here. That'd be good for the Jade Rabbit distance when you're on the inside. So same thing, he knows that it's a close quarter situation, so he pulls out his sidearm, and again, that's something that I really like. And he's not really committed to the primary or the secondary. He's getting kills with both. And he's dancing with this guy, ends up getting the crossfire. Throws a grenade up, and you can't really get mad. I mean, this is the guy that's been lagging the whole game, and he made essentially a good play with the fusion rifle. He spawns up, he's at 1800, so he's been leading the pack, man. He's doing it barely. He goes up into his position, gets his long sight lines with a Jade Rabbit. He doesn't really check left too often. He shade step. I love this play. He shade steps out, and he's hunted, so the guy has no idea where he went. And if we go back and look at that, or if you guys just kind of rewind, he shade stepped out and immediately went to another angle, and the guy had no idea. It was a really good movement. Guy coming up from the side, he has out his sidearm against the laggy guy, and really good movement right here. Again, man, he's one shot. He's going left, right, going up and down. Sees another guy, throws out the quiver twice again. So he's using his super really well. He's waiting for people to be around him. He gets off the last quiver. You should always do that because somebody could come up and that could kind of tether him for a second. Chokes it off with his grenade, and we believe he's going to go right on back to mid. So again, looking at this, he's very good with the sidearm in here. And he gets a tie right here. He's very good with the sidearm in here. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through all those deaths real quick and talk about deaths that we could have had back and what was actually happening in those situations. And all in all, he had a really good game. I mean, keep in mind this is Skyline, and he kept to the weapon's strength. He didn't go inside with all the corners and angles. He kept outside to the long sight lines. Had a nice 22 and 12 game. And ended up getting a nice auto rifle here that nobody uses, and I have no idea why they didn't include counterbalance on this perk pull for the Hexcaster. A lot more people would use them. But when you start using a scout rifle again, I'm not sure he uses that all the time, but the scout rifle is really tough, and he did really good. But the very first death, remember, when you're spawning right here, I didn't like this. This is one we possibly could have had back because since it's the start of the game, those 2 arrows, there are people coming out. So we have this long hall he goes down. So as he pushes up, he sees 2 enemies, right? So what he ends up doing is he goes all the way around. In that hallway that he went down, he should have kind of backtracked because what he does is he makes himself exposed and wide. And there's definitely somebody behind him because there was 2 people and there was a death. That spawn is open. So he looks back and now there's a guy in mid. He's focused on him. And there's the guy all the way in the back, and he gets cleaned up from deep. So that decision, I think we could have had that death back just by coming back that hallway that he originally came down. The second death, this is where he was one shot. He was kind of out in the open, and again, what happened? He was kind of indecisive. He sees this red, he goes in, and he stops. And it's just one of those things, he was exposed that entire time, so there are going to be people coming to this area, and he kind of gets caught off guard. So we might have could have gotten that one back. The third death we're okay with because it was a trade with the Hawk Moon. But the fourth death, as we spawn up, again, we're in that long hallway, he pulls out the sidearm, he sees red on the radar, and he gets just a little too aggressive with this guy, and I think he just gets too tapped by the Hawk Moon. But again, regardless, I think that he would have been dead. He had the cover there, he had everything to that guy. The fifth death was the Blade Dancer, but here's the issue. He turns around and loses momentum to look at the Blade Dancer. If you just would have kept on going into that corner and just doing circles around, we don't really know about the outcome, but the reason it's okay is because it was indeed a super. The other guy was getting shots, it was just a bad situation, and that Blade Dancer chased him like the entire map, so he did good up until that point. The sixth death, there's nothing really to say. I'm not sure if he doesn't really kill guys that aren't moving. I'm kind of the same way, but, you know, it is what it is. We don't really look into it. The seventh death is from that Sunbreaker, and again, that's okay because we don't know how much damage that guy did, and you don't want that guy just going all the way around the entire map, you know, getting kills. Now, the eighth death, again, I don't really like it. We could have had it back because he's kind of indecisive in mid, right? He does good, but he should make a decision right now, and all the lanes are kind of taken away, and he just kind of got pinched. And the movement he could have been a little bit better with, and just be careful when you go into mid. The ninth death is okay. Now, he could have done something a little bit different right here, but there were 3 enemies. He did the best he could with what he had. Maybe he could have gone down under and behind that guy, but again, looking back on the game, and it's the heat of the moment, it was okay. Now, deaths 10 and 11 are okay. I'm okay with them. But again, we're inside. He could have used a tether right there. In the 11th death with the laggy guy, that's okay. I mean, whether he made a good fusion rifle shot or he's laggy, there's really nothing you can do. It was almost a trade. But looking back at all of this, you know, there were 5 times where I thought that we could have possibly had some deaths back, but then again, when you talk about deaths coming back, you're creating new scenarios. There were a couple just flat out, he was a little too aggressive and wasn't ready for the situation, and most of his deaths came from mid, if that makes any sense, and we kind of talked about that through the entire game. And Skyline's tough, man. Skyline's tough is with the spawns and Rumble. I play it a lot. I kind of do the same thing. I'll go into T, but not really with that scout. A hand cannon's a little bit better, but props to him for using it. But I really appreciate you guys watching this. If you guys do want your gameplay to be looked at, go to CoolGuyCrucible@gmail.com and tell me a little bit about the gameplay, and we can talk about it. And the other thing is, if you guys want to see good gameplays to talk about what somebody did well, or builds where somebody put something together and kind of kept to a strength, just let me know. I really appreciate you guys. Stop by my channel today, and until the next one, I am Cool Guy.